Hi, my name is Dil, and I'm going to talk about church history in Nepal. You can see the map of Nepal at the center of the screen and flag of Nepal at the left-hand side. Before 1744 AD, Nepal was divided over 50 tiny principalities. The present Kathmandu Valley itself used to be three separate kingdoms called Kantipur, which is also called Kathmandu, Bhaktapur, and Patan, and they were all ruled by Malla kings. The church history in Nepal can be divided into four phases. Before 1600s, no one had heard the name of Christ in Nepal. Between 1600 and 1768, there was Roman Catholic influence. From 1769 to 1951, Nepal remained close to Christianity. From 1951 till now, we can see the influence and growth of Protestant churches. Capuchin fathers were the first Christians to enter Nepal. They were on the way to establish a mission in Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. In 1661, King Pratap Malla, the king of Kantipur, asked two Roman Catholic fathers who returned from China to stay and work here in Kathmandu. In 1707, 6 missionaries spent some time in Kathmandu before reaching Lhasa. So in course of time, with the consent of the Malla kings, the Capuchin fathers established a mission in Kathmandu Valley in 1715. But there was no record of any adult Nepali becoming Christian. But the mission closed in 1734 due to the problem of replacing personnel. Again in 1738, the Malla kings of Bhaktapur and Kantipur asked them to come back with the guarantee of religious freedom. Similarly, the king of Patan also invited fathers in 1744. Thus, a small community of Christians began to grow in the Kathmandu Valley. During that time, a high caste young man of Nepal was supervising Nepali workers in Lhasa. During his stay there, he met with Capuchin fathers from Italy and became a Christian on 6 January 1745. He was given the name Michael by the fathers, but the history doesn't tell what his Nepali name was. When Michael returned to Nepal, he faced direct challenge to his new faith. When he constantly refused to participate in ceremonies, his families were amazed, confused, and angered. So he was finally forced to leave his home and family. So Michael accompanied Father Joseph to Betia, India, and helped in the formation of new Christian community there in India. In the meantime, Prithvinarayan Shah, the king of Gorkha, dreamt of unifying the petty states to form a bigger kingdom. He succeeded in annexing one state after another, forming Nepal into a unified kingdom, very much as it is today. Prithvinarayan Shah twice invited the Christian fathers to come and start work in Gorkha, but they were unable to do so. Then in 1767, the king of Kantipur requested for military aid from British East India Company against him, and the missionaries were blamed for that. Therefore, one of his first act as the king of Nepal in 1769 was to close the mission and banish the missionaries. Soon, whatever Christians were left in the valley, they chose to migrate to India, after which Nepal remained close to Christianity for almost 200 years. But before the forced expulsion in 1769, there were about 80 adult converts from Newar population, 24 of whom died in Nepal before 1769. Thousands of baptisms were administered at the point of death. In 54 years before their forced expulsion, those fathers were able to build 2 churches with cemeteries in Kantipur near Thamel area. There was a church at Bhaktapur named Annunciation of Our Lady, but the exact location is not known. From 1846 to 1951, Rana dynasty ruled Kingdom of Nepal. reducing the Shah monarch into a figurehead and making prime minister and other government positions held by the Ranas. During the Rana time, the government attitude towards Christianity became even more oppressive, and there was democratic revolution against Rana in 1950. The democratic revolution of 1950 led to the opening of the country to the outside world and to let non-Hindu to enter. Many Nepali Christians who had been living in India took this opportunity to return to the homeland. Christian missions were invited by the government to help develop the country, especially in the field of education and health. Catholics came in again in 1951. They worked hard in the field of education by running two excellent schools, St. James for boys and later St. Mary's for girls. From 1936, a band called Nepali Evangelistic Band, consisting of Nepali and foreigners who were ministering Nepali people from their base at Nautuna in India. On November 10, 1952, Nepali Evangelistic Band members were allowed to enter Nepal. The whole team of Dr. Lily and Hilda, along with Buddhisagar, trekked into Pokhara, where Nepali Evangelistic Band set up the first public hospital. In 1972, Nepali Evangelistic Band changed its name to International Nepal Fellowship, also called INF. And in 1952, a couple, Buddhisagar and Putali, along with 5 other Nepali members of the Nepali Evangelistic Band, established the first church in Pokhara called the Ramghat Church. Since then, there was influence and growth of Protestant churches in Nepal. 1 year later, another Nepali couple, David and Premi, along with their children, also trekked into Pokhara, and David became the pastor of the Ramghat Church. Pastor David was the first and the most senior Nepali pastor and the first president of Nepal Christian Fellowship. United Mission to Nepal, UMN, based in Kathmandu, came in 1954. In 1956, Putali Sadak Church was established in Kathmandu. And this is the first church in the Kathmandu Valley and the second church in the country. In August 1957, Ganeshwar Church, also called Nepali Isai Mandali, was established in Kathmandu. And this is the second church in the Kathmandu Valley and the third church in the country. Since 1957, religious freedom has been proclaimed, but conversion to Christianity and preaching was strictly forbidden. But still, many Nepali came to faith and were baptized. Christians during that time were beaten up and turned out by their families. They even got jail sentence from 1 to 6 years. Between 1951 to 1960, there were only about 100 Christians in Nepal. Gradually, other Christian organizations also began to come in. In 1966, Summer Institute of Linguistics, 1967, Youth for Christ, 1968, Operational Mobilization, 1969, Local Bible Society Committee was formed. 1970s and 80s, the Far East Broadcasting Company began the first radio broadcast in Nepal. And there was revolution in 1990. The revolution of 1990 in Nepal granted freedom of religion. After the revolution of 1990, multi-party democracy was established. All those in prison for conscience sake were released, including all the Christians. A new constitution was written with the words slightly changed. Forced to change someone's religion was specifically banned, but to change one's religion at one's own free will was legal. Foreign Christians have been active and different denominations grew rapidly. The church activities also increased with Bible classes and youth groups. The other denomination of Christians like Roman Catholic and Seventh-day Adventists also started rising. Today, the vast majority of local churches are, however, independent or loose member of one of the church fellowships: Nepal Church Fellowship, Nepal Christian Fellowship, Agape Christian Fellowship, Evangelical Christian Fellowship of Nepal, Nepal Christian Society, Nepal Christian Federation, etc., etc. Nepal is now a secular state, and every religion now has a right to maintain its religious place and institutions. But for the churches, it is still difficult to register with the government. Although there are thousands of churches now in Nepal, none of them are registered as a church in the government's record. According to the census of 2011, 375,699, which is 1.4% of the total population of Nepal. This many Christians attend these churches on a regular basis. Nevertheless, it is so encouraging to see what an amazing work God has done in Nepal in just over 6 decades. We are reaping the harvest planted by so many people with sweat, blood, and tears. Thank you. Remember Nepal in your prayer. Thank you so much.